In 1977, my job required that I travel about 5 states every week and drive 1,000 miles a week. The driving wasn't the problem, but flying was. I was terrified of flying. One week, I was in El Paso, and I had to fly to Alamogordo, New Mexico. And I was in a plane that was, I think, maybe held 12 people. And the person I was sitting next to was a pilot. And we took off, and it was during the storm, and we hit an air pocket, and we kept bouncing around. And I was just so afraid that I ended up, he put his hand out, and I was holding his hand, and he talked to me the entire way, which was like maybe a half an hour. But he talked to me through the whole flight. And we landed, and we're going down the taxiway, and we get to where we're just going to disembark. And he pulls my hand off of his, and my fingernails had drawn blood in the palm of his hand. I was holding on so tight. I was just mortified that I could have done that to him. But he said it was just fine. So we have to walk down a flight of stairs to get off of the plane to get to the tarmac, and he's holding my shoulders to make sure I'm steady because I'm still shaking like crazy. So we get to the tarmac, and he says, honey, the only way to get over this fear is to get your pilot's license. So I go home, and I signed up for ground school, and I leave the pink slip of the school class, the training class, on the counter. And my husband comes home, and he goes, what's this? And I said, well, if I'm going to continue this job, I have to get over my fear of flying. And he said, well, no wife of mine is going to fly. And, okay, I didn't argue. No point in arguing the point. So I waited a few weeks, and I signed up for sewing classes. And he comes home, and he sees the pink slip for the class for sewing. And he goes, oh, that's great. I know how much you enjoy sewing. Just happened that sewing class was on the same night as the ground school. So he thought I was going to sewing classes and I was going to ground schools. I didn't tell him one way or another, so technically I didn't lie about it. But I knew if I was going to keep this job, I had to get my pilot's license. By the time I ended up getting my pilot's license, there was more than enough reason to have divorced him. So by the time I got my pilot's license, I was single. And I'll tell you, that was the one thing that gave me the most self-confidence over anything I've ever done in my life. It was amazing. Out of every 20 pilots, there was maybe one female pilot. And we had a flying club that I joined, and Cecil had 20 airplanes, and we could check out the airplanes, and you only pay for the time that you're in the air. So I could fly just about anywhere, and it would cost me less than $50-$60 just because I'm paying for the gas, the fuel, and rental of the airplane just for the time it's in the air. It didn't matter how long I was there. So that's how I got over my fear of flying. So if you've ever had something you're afraid of, tackle it head on. You know, it doesn't matter what other people think or what their limitations are, but fear is not something you need to live with. It's something you can overcome.